All right, gearing up for a military engineer interview. Talk about an exciting challenge. We've got a stack of RoleCatcher resources here, from career guides to sample interview questions, and we are going to dive deep to give you that extra edge.
Yeah, it's not your typical engineering role, that's for sure.
Right. It's like building a bridge isn't just about structural integrity.
Yeah.
It's also about tactical considerations.
Right.
Maybe even under fire.
Exactly. And the career guide emphasizes how the military is pushing the boundaries of engineering, investing heavily in robotics, AI, and sustainable solutions.
Yeah.
It's a field that's evolving rapidly.
Okay, so before we jump into those tough interview questions, let's paint a picture of what a typical career path looks like. The guide mentions different stages from entry level to principal engineer, right?
Absolutely. You start as an entry-level engineer,
Okay.
working on specific tasks within larger projects, really honing those core skills. Think of it as your boot camp.
Got it. So like you might be assisting with the design of a forward operating base or analyzing the terrain for a new road construction project.
Exactly. Then as you progress to junior and senior engineer roles, you take on more responsibility, maybe even leading smaller teams. You're not just crunching numbers anymore.
Yeah.
You're making decisions that impact the project's success.
And eventually you could reach that coveted principal engineer level, overseeing large-scale projects, managing budgets, and mentoring the next generation of military engineers.
Right. And that's where nailing those interview questions becomes absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
So let's dive into some real examples.
Okay.
From RoleCatcher's interview guide, Military Engineer.
Perfect. Let's start with a question that seems pretty fundamental. Can you explain your experience with designing and implementing military structures? Sounds straightforward, but I bet there's more to it than meets the eye.
Definitely the interviewer isn't just looking for a list of projects.
Right.
They want to gauge your understanding of the unique challenges of military construction.
So it's not like building a skyscraper
Right.
in a bustling city. You might be dealing with remote locations,
Yeah.
harsh environments, maybe even hostile territory.
Exactly. Plus, you need to consider tactical requirements, camouflage, maybe even blast resistance.
So how do you really stand out with this answer?
Right.
Should you talk about specific projects you've worked on?
Specificity is key. Don't just say, I've designed bridges.
Right.
Talk about a particular bridge project.
Okay.
Maybe one with unusual terrain or tactical considerations. Really paint a picture for them.
Okay, so something like, I led a team that designed a modular bridge system for rapid deployment in mountainous terrain.
Yeah.
We had to factor in the weight limitations of the transport helicopters and ensure the bridge could withstand potential enemy fire.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You've showcased your experience, your leadership skills, and a tangible challenge you overcame.
And how about potential follow-up questions?
They might ask something like, how did you ensure compliance with safety regulations on that project? Especially in a military context where safety is paramount.
Right, because a collapsed bridge could have devastating consequences.
Exactly. This is where you demonstrate your understanding of military-specific safety protocols. Mention specific regulations you adhered to,
Okay.
maybe even unique safety measures you implemented due to the project's challenges.
Okay, let's tackle another question. How do you prioritize competing demands and deadlines in your work as a military engineer? Time management under pressure, that feels like a core skill in this role.
Absolutely. They want to see if you can handle the heat and still deliver results.
So it's not enough to just say you're good at multitasking.
Right.
You need to show them how you actually manage multiple priorities.
Right. Talk about your method for prioritizing tasks.
Okay.
Maybe you use a system that considers urgency and impact.
And don't forget to sprinkle in examples of how you've successfully juggled multiple high-priority projects in the past.
Exactly. Quantify whenever possible.
Right.
Something like, I once managed 3 concurrent projects with overlapping deadlines by implementing a clear prioritization matrix and leveraging project management software. We ensured on-time completion for all 3, even with limited resources.
Now, this next question seems particularly relevant to the military's focus on staying ahead of the curve. How do you ensure that your designs are in line with current military technology and innovation?
This is all about your commitment to continuous learning.
Okay.
The military is all about pushing those technological boundaries.
So it's not enough to just have a degree in engineering. You need to show them you're actively keeping up with the latest advancements.
Exactly. Talk about how you stay informed. Maybe you subscribe to industry journals, attend conferences, or are part of online communities where military engineers share their insights.
And then connect that to specific examples.
Yes.
Like I recently attended a conference on the use of 3D printing in military construction.
Okay.
I was particularly interested in how this technology could be used to create rapidly deployable shelters and fortifications.
Perfect. You showcase your proactive approach to learning and connected it to a tangible application. Now let's take a quick detour and talk about how RoleCatcher's AI can be a real game changer in your preparation.
Let's unpack that.
Their AI-powered CV/resume builder is incredible.
Okay.
It analyzes job descriptions, like the one you're targeting,
Mhm.
and identifies any skills or keywords that are missing from your resume.
So it's like having a personal recruiter scrutinizing your resume
Exactly.
and saying, hey, you're missing this key skill that employers are looking for.
Exactly. It helps you tailor your application to specifically address what the employer is looking for, giving you a competitive edge.
That's amazing.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I've heard they have this cool AI-powered interview practice tool, too.
They do. It simulates a real interview environment,
Oh, wow.
allowing you to practice answering questions and receive personalized feedback on your delivery content and even how well you're addressing the specific needs of the role.
So it's like having a mock interview with a seasoned military engineer who can pinpoint your strengths and weaknesses.
Precisely. This AI feedback is invaluable, especially for tricky questions.
Okay, let's get back to those interview questions. This one focuses on your ability to manage the big picture. What is your experience with project management in a military engineering context?
Here you need to showcase your leadership skills,
Yeah.
your ability to plan and execute complex projects, and your understanding of the unique challenges of a military environment.
Yeah.
It's not just about meeting deadlines and budgets, it's
Yeah.
about navigating those military hierarchies and potential logistical nightmares.
So should you focus on a specific project where you had significant responsibility?
Yes, walk them through the key stages: planning,
Okay.
resource allocation, risk assessment,
Mm-hmm.
execution, and monitoring. Highlight how you adapted to unexpected challenges, like maybe a sudden change in mission objectives or a supply chain disruption due to enemy activity.
So it's about showing that you can think on your feet
Exactly.
and make those tough calls under pressure.
Exactly. And quantifiable results are your friend. If you can say something like, I successfully led a team of 20 engineers in completing a $5 million infrastructure project 6 weeks ahead of schedule, despite facing numerous logistical challenges in a hostile environment, that's going to leave an impact.
Okay, this next question highlights the importance of collaboration. Can you describe your experience working with government agencies and contractors in a military engineering context?
This one is all about your interpersonal skills. In the military, you rarely work in isolation.
Right.
It's all about coordinating with diverse teams, each with their own priorities and procedures.
So it's like building bridges, both literally and figuratively.
Right. Choose an example where you had to collaborate effectively with a government agency or a contractor.
Right.
Describe the challenges you faced. Maybe it was conflicting priorities, communication barriers, or just navigating through bureaucratic red tape.
And then focus on the solution.
Right.
Did you use active listening skills to really understand their perspective? Did you find creative solutions that addressed everyone's needs?
Exactly. The interviewer wants to see that you can build consensus, manage expectations, and foster productive working relationships, even in a high-pressure, multifaceted environment like the military.
Okay, let's squeeze in one more before we wrap up this first part.
Okay.
This question really speaks to the military's growing emphasis on sustainability. How do you ensure that your designs are environmentally sustainable and energy efficient?
It's interesting, right? Even on the battlefield, environmental responsibility matters.
Right. It's about being a responsible steward of resources and minimizing the environmental impact of military operations.
Absolutely. So share an example where you prioritize sustainability in a project.
Okay.
Maybe you incorporated renewable energy sources, used recycled materials, or designed for energy efficiency. Quantify the environmental impact of your choices. Maybe you reduced carbon emissions or minimized waste.
Okay, so it's about showing them you're not just building for the mission, you're building for the future.
Exactly. You understand that sustainability is not just a buzzword. It's a critical consideration in every aspect of military engineering.
All right. We've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive.
We have.
From understanding the career path of a military engineer to tackling some tough interview questions, you're already well on your way to acing that interview.
And we're just getting started. Welcome back. We're diving deeper into those crucial military engineer interview questions, giving you the insights you need to truly impress those interviewers.
We just tackled some big picture questions.
Yeah.
But now I'm curious, what about those situations where things go wrong? I bet there are some great stories there.
You're right. And interviewers often want to hear about those challenges, too.
Oh, yeah.
They might ask something like, describe a challenging engineering problem you faced in a military context and explain how you approached it.
Ah, the classic problem-solving question. This feels like a chance to show them you can think on your feet and handle those unexpected curveballs that are bound to happen in a military environment.
It is, and they're not just looking for technical expertise. They want to see your adaptability and resourcefulness.
So what kind of example should you choose? Should it be a major project failure or something smaller?
It doesn't have to be catastrophic. Even a minor setback that caused delays or required a creative workaround can be a valuable learning experience.
Okay.
The key is to choose an example that highlights your problem-solving skills and your ability to adapt under pressure.
Okay, so maybe you could talk about a time when a critical piece of equipment malfunctioned during a construction project in a remote location. You had limited resources and no immediate access to replacements.
Exactly. Walk them through your thought process. How did you assess the situation? What were the potential solutions you considered?
Did you have to improvise and come up with a temporary fix using whatever materials you had on hand?
Yeah.
Did you manage to get the project back on track despite the setback?
Those are great points. And don't forget to mention what you learned from the experience. Did it change the way you approach risk assessment or contingency planning?
Okay, now this next question seems particularly relevant for leadership roles. Describe a time when you had to lead a team in a challenging situation. What was your approach and what were the results?
Leadership is a critical skill in military engineering. As you climb the ranks, you'll be responsible for motivating teams, delegating effectively, and making those critical decisions that can impact the mission's success.
So it's not just about being a brilliant engineer, it's about being a strong leader who can inspire and guide others.
Right. Think of a situation where you had to lead a team through a difficult project. Maybe it was a tight deadline, a complex technical problem, or even a conflict within the team itself.
And then explain how you approached the challenge. Did you break down the problem into smaller tasks and assign roles based on each team member's strengths? Did you foster open communication to ensure everyone felt heard and understood?
Excellent points. Did you make sure to provide clear direction while also empowering your team members to take ownership of their tasks? Did you celebrate successes along the way to keep morale high?
It's about showing them you can build a cohesive team that can overcome any obstacle.
And don't forget to mention the results. Did you meet the deadline? Did you solve the problem effectively? Did the team grow stronger through the experience?
Speaking of teamwork, safety is another crucial aspect of military engineering. The interviewer might ask, how do you promote a culture of safety within a team?
In a military environment, safety is paramount.
Right.
Every decision, every action can have life or death consequences.
Yeah.
You need to demonstrate that you're not just following protocols, but actively fostering a safety-first mindset.
So it's not just about wearing your hard hat and safety goggles. It's about creating an environment where everyone feels empowered to speak up if they see something unsafe.
Exactly. Talk about how you encourage open communication. Do you hold regular safety briefings? Do you create a space where team members can raise concerns without fear of reprisal?
Do you conduct regular safety inspections and make sure everyone is properly trained on the equipment they're using?
Those are great examples. And don't just talk about procedures. Share a specific example of how you've championed safety in the past. Maybe you noticed a potential hazard and took immediate action to correct it, potentially preventing an accident.
Okay, this next question taps into something we talked about earlier, the military's focus on technological advancement. How do you stay up to date on emerging technologies and trends in military engineering?
Remember, continuous learning is key in this field.
Yeah.
The interviewer wants to see that you're not just keeping up,
Right.
but actively seeking ways to innovate and push those boundaries.
So it's not enough to just mention you read industry journals or attend conferences.
Right.
You need to show them how you actually apply that knowledge.
Right. Have you experimented with a new technology in a recent project? Maybe you took a course on artificial intelligence and are now exploring ways to incorporate AI-powered decision-making into military construction projects.
Maybe you've even shared your knowledge with your team by giving a presentation on a new technology or mentoring junior engineers on the latest software tools.
Exactly. You're demonstrating that you're not just a passive consumer of information, but an active learner who's passionate about bringing those cutting-edge ideas into the field.
And before we move on, I want to touch on RoleCatcher's AI again, specifically their interview practice tool.
Yeah.
It seems like it could be really helpful for practicing these types of questions.
Absolutely. That tool can be a real confidence booster. It analyzes your responses and provides personalized feedback, helping you refine your delivery and ensure you're addressing the specific requirements of the role.
So you can practice answering questions about emerging technologies, leadership challenges, safety practices, basically anything you might encounter in a real interview.
Right. It's like having a personal coach guiding you through the process, helping you identify areas for improvement and polish your responses until you feel completely ready.
Okay, let's jump back into those interview questions. This one seems like a classic. Can you describe a time when a project you were working on failed to meet its objectives? What did you learn from that experience?
This is a tricky one, right? Nobody likes to talk about failures. Right.
But the interviewer isn't trying to catch you out.
Right.
They want to see how you handle setbacks, what you learn from them, and how you apply those lessons to future projects.
So it's an opportunity to show them your resilience and your commitment to continuous improvement.
Exactly. Choose an example where a project didn't go as planned. It doesn't have to be a major disaster.
Yeah.
Even a minor delay or a design flaw that required rework can provide valuable insights.
So maybe you could talk about a time when you underestimated the logistical challenges of transporting materials to a remote construction site, which caused delays and impacted the budget.
Perfect example. Walk them through what happened, why it happened, and what role you played in the situation.
Did you take responsibility for your part in the setback? Did you work collaboratively with your team to find solutions?
And most importantly, what did you learn from the experience? Did it change the way you approach project planning, risk assessment, or communication with your team? It's about showing them you're not afraid to own your mistakes and that you're always looking for ways to grow and improve as an engineer.
Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about a question that often throws people off. What are your strengths and weaknesses as an engineer?
The classic strengths and weaknesses question. It can feel like a trap.
It can, but it's really just a way for the interviewer to assess your self-awareness and your honesty.
So should you just rattle off a list of generic strengths and weaknesses?
Not at all. Choose 2 or 3 strengths that are genuinely relevant to the role and that you can back up with concrete examples.
Maybe you're a strong problem solver. You excel at technical drawings, or you're a natural leader who can motivate and inspire others. Whatever your strengths are, make sure you can illustrate them with real-world examples from your experience.
And for weaknesses, choose 1 or 2 areas where you're actively working to improve.
Okay.
Don't try to disguise a strength as a weakness, like saying I work too hard. Be honest, but frame it positively.
So instead of saying, I'm not good at public speaking, you might say, I'm working on improving my presentation skills by joining a Toastmasters group.
Exactly. It shows them you're self-aware and that you're proactively seeking ways to grow and develop your skills.
This has been incredibly insightful. We've covered a lot of ground, from analyzing those tricky interview questions to exploring the nuances of leadership and safety in a military context.
And we've got even more to unpack in our final part. We'll delve into those questions that really let you showcase your passion for military engineering and your understanding of its role in national security.
Don't miss it! All right, we're back for the final stretch of our deep dive into military engineer interview prep. We've covered a lot of ground, from technical skills to leadership and safety.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited for this part.
Me too. This is where you get to showcase your passion for the field and really connect with the interviewer on a deeper level.
Exactly. So let's jump into some questions that go beyond just your technical qualifications. This first one always seems to pop up in interviews. Why did you choose to pursue a career in military engineering?
The classic why question. It seems simple,
Right.
but it can actually be quite powerful. It's your chance to share what truly motivates you and what draws you to this unique blend of engineering and service.
So it's not just about saying, I like math and science.
Well, yeah.
It's about digging deeper and revealing what sparked that initial interest
Exactly.
and how it's evolved over time.
Were you inspired by a family member who served in the military? Were you fascinated by military technology as a kid? Did you always feel a strong sense of duty and a desire to contribute to national security?
Think about those early influences and connect them to your current aspirations. What aspects of military engineering excite you the most?
Maybe you're driven by the challenge of designing structures that can withstand extreme conditions,
Yeah.
or the opportunity to work with cutting-edge technology that can protect our troops and give them an advantage in the field.
Or maybe you're passionate about the humanitarian side of military engineering,
Right.
like building infrastructure to support disaster relief efforts, or providing clean water and sanitation to communities in need.
Whatever your why is, make sure it comes across as genuine and enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Let the interviewer see your passion for this field.
Okay, here's another question that gets at your core values. What are some of the values that are most important to you in your work?
This one's all about your character and your work ethic. It's a chance for the interviewer to see what principles guide your actions and decisions.
So think about those values that are truly important to you,
Mm-hmm.
both personally and professionally.
Right.
Are you driven by integrity, teamwork, Excellence. A strong sense of duty.
Choose values that resonate with you and that align with the core values of the military. Loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage.
And don't just list those values. Provide concrete examples of how they've influenced your work in the past.
Maybe you once witnessed a colleague taking a shortcut that compromised safety.
Right. And you spoke up even though it was uncomfortable. That shows integrity.
Or maybe you went above and beyond to help a team member who was struggling,
Right.
sacrificing your own time to ensure the project's success. That shows teamwork and a commitment to excellence.
Those are great examples. The interviewer wants to see that you're not just talking about values, you're living them.
All right, let's shift gears to a question that requires you to think strategically. What do you see as the role of military engineering in supporting national security?
This one takes you beyond the technical aspects of the job and asks you to consider the bigger picture.
It's about understanding how those bridges you build, those fortifications you design, those technologies you develop, contribute to the safety and security of our nation.
Exactly. Think about the different ways military engineers support national security. It could be by providing safe and reliable infrastructure for our troops, both at home and abroad.
Or designing and maintaining critical transportation networks that allow for the rapid deployment of forces and equipment. Or developing innovative technologies that give our military a strategic advantage.
Or even ensuring the resilience of our critical infrastructure in the face of natural disasters or attacks.
The key is to show that you understand the interconnectedness of military engineering and national security, and that you're passionate about playing a role in protecting our nation.
Okay, here's a follow-up question that really challenges you to think about the future. What are some of the emerging threats to national security, and how can military engineers help mitigate those threats?
This one takes it a step further. It's not just about understanding the current landscape, it's about anticipating future challenges and thinking creatively about how to address them.
So think about some of the emerging threats we're facing as a nation.
Okay.
It could be the growing threat of cyber warfare, the proliferation of advanced weapons technology, the impacts of climate change on military operations, or the rise of non-state actors.
Then for each threat, think about how military engineers can contribute to solutions. Can we develop new technologies to detect and defend against cyber attacks? Can we design more sustainable and resilient infrastructure that can withstand extreme weather events? Can we create more agile and adaptable forces that can operate effectively in complex and unpredictable environments?
It's about showcasing your ability to think critically, to connect the dots between engineering and global security challenges, and to articulate a vision for the future of the field.
And this is a great time to mention any research you've done or any areas of specialization that align with these emerging threats. It shows you're not just aware of the challenges, you're actively seeking ways to address them.
Okay, now for a question that might feel a little bit personal, what are your strengths and weaknesses as an engineer?
The classic strengths and weaknesses question. It can feel like a minefield, but it's really an opportunity to demonstrate self-awareness and a commitment to growth.
So how do you navigate this one without sounding too boastful or too self-critical?
For strengths, focus on 2 or 3 that are genuinely relevant to the role of a military engineer and that you can support with specific examples.
Maybe you excel at problem solving. You're a skilled communicator who can bridge the gap between technical and non-technical audiences. Or you're a natural leader who can motivate and inspire teams.
Whatever your strengths are, make sure you can illustrate them with real-world examples from your experience.
And for weaknesses, be honest, but choose areas where you're actively working to improve.
For example, you might say, I sometimes get so focused on the technical details that I lose sight of the bigger picture. To address this, I've started taking project management courses to improve my ability to see the project as a whole.
Or you could say, I tend to be a bit too independent and sometimes struggle to delegate tasks effectively.
Yeah.
I'm working on this by consciously assigning tasks to others and providing them with the support they need to succeed.
The key is to show that you're self-aware, that you're not afraid to acknowledge areas where you can grow, and that you're actively taking steps to improve your skills.
All right, we've reached the final question, and this time it's your turn to ask. Do you have any questions for me?
This is your chance to gather information that will help you decide if this role is the right fit for you, and it shows the interviewer that you're curious and engaged.
So what are some good questions to ask?
Focus on questions that demonstrate your interest in the role, the company, and the field of military engineering.
Okay.
You might ask about the day-to-day responsibilities of the position, the team dynamics, the opportunities for professional development, or the company's culture.
You could also ask the interviewer about their own experience working as a military engineer,
Yeah.
what they find most rewarding about the job,
Mm-hmm.
or what advice they would give to someone just starting their career in this field.
Avoid asking questions that can be easily answered with a quick Google search or that focus solely on salary and benefits.
And most importantly, listen attentively to the interviewer's responses.
Yeah.
Ask thoughtful follow-up questions and engage in a genuine conversation.
This is your chance to make a final impression and solidify your candidacy.
Well, there you have it. We've covered a wide range of interview questions from the technical to the strategic and provided you with the insights and strategies you need to ace that military engineer interview.
Remember, preparation is key,
Yes.
but so is confidence, enthusiasm, and a genuine passion for the field. Let those qualities shine through, and you'll be well on your way to landing that dream job.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI-powered tools are there to support you every step of the way. From tailoring your resume to practicing your interview skills, they've got you covered.
We've reached the end of our deep dive, but your journey in the world of military engineering is just beginning. Keep learning, keep growing, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
That's what makes a truly exceptional military engineer. Best of luck with your interview.
We're out.